Alert, Asteroid 2022 ES3 will pass close to Earth, Sunday, March 13. The asteroid 2022 ES3 will pass very close to Earth this week, making a flyby of our planet this Sunday 13. It will be on average 334,000 kilometers away, equivalent to about 87% of that between our planet and the Moon. According to experts, the distance is safe, although it is considered close in astronomical terms. Subscribe to the channel. Now, the asteroid is at a distance of approximately 0.03 astronomical units, where each of these units is relative to the distance between the Earth and the Sun. The approach to our planet that will take place this Sunday will be the biggest in the next 10 years. Discovered this Monday, 7, by the Kitt Peak Observatory, astronomers calculate that the asteroid is between 10 and 20 meters in diameter. According to information from NASA, Asteroid 2022 ES3 takes a total of 3.41 years to complete one orbit around the Sun. What's more, 2022 ES3 has been classified as a near-Earth object, or NEO, which means it has a near cross-Earth orbit. These types of asteroids are monitored very closely by astronomers, and thanks to high-precision observations and models of orbital mechanics, the orbit of these objects can be determined with a high degree of precision. Thus, calculations by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory (JPL) confirm that 2022 ES3 will not hit Earth in the near future. Understand, what is the difference between meteor, meteorite, meteoroid, asteroid and comet? The solar system is home to a multitude of space rocks, which are always in motion. Many of them end up hitting planets and moons, and there is an entire international task force, involving space agencies and independent astronomers, to monitor objects considered potentially dangerous to Earth. Among these objects are meteoroids, asteroids, comets, but there are also objects that we call meteorites and meteors. And now, what is the difference between these space bodies? The classification of these objects can be confusing, but below you will find the definitive explanation to understand, once and for all, what meteors, meteorites, meteoroids, asteroids and comets are. What is a comet? We call space rocks with elongated orbits, which approach and depart from the Sun in a more dramatic way, so to speak, a comet. Still, they are composed of frozen water, ammonia and methane, and this combination generates the so-called coma, which is a thin atmosphere, in addition to the tail produced when such objects approach the Sun. This tail is nothing more than the result of heating its surface, which releases substances into space in a gaseous state. There are comets that come from the Oort cloud, on the edge of the solar system, while others end up coming from the Kuiper belt, a region that is home to a multitude of small bodies and even dwarf planets, such as Pluto. Recently, we discovered an interstellar comet that is coming from the system of another star that is not our Sun, visiting our surroundings, 2I Borisov, which will be here for about a year and will still be studied by scientists all over the world. What is an asteroid? Despite being similar to comets, asteroids do not have such eccentric orbits, nor do they produce a tail as they approach the Sun, because they do not have sufficient amounts of frozen water, methane and ammonia in their compositions, and they also do not have a coma. Most of the known asteroids in the solar system lie in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and are remnants of the formation of the solar system. Asteroids are closely studied by space agencies in several countries, especially the Japanese mission Hayabusa 2, which has been studying the asteroid Ryugu and even collecting samples, which will be brought to Earth at the end of next year. NASA, which has been studying the asteroid Bennu with the OSIRIS-REx mission, plans to launch a new infrared telescope to detect more discrete asteroids that could crash into Earth, which should happen in the middle of the next decade. And speaking of NASA missions involving asteroids, we cannot leave aside the story of Didymos and its moon Didymoon. The U.S. agency launched in 2021 the DART mission that will crash into Didymoon, and, in 2023, the ESA, Agency European Spacecraft, will launch the Hera mission, which will study the impact generated by the American spacecraft. The goal: to analyze whether it is even possible to divert the course of space objects, especially those that pose a risk of collision with Earth, even in a very distant future. Asteroids are objects that fascinate and worry so many people that there is even an annual date to raise debates about these space bodies, Asteroid Day. What is a meteoroid? This name is given to the small fragments of large space rocks, which can be both comets and asteroids. Meteoroids are much smaller than asteroids but larger than interstellar dust, drifting in space after breaking away from the main object. What is a meteor? Any object that, upon entering the Earth's atmosphere, generates a light trail in the sky, can be called a meteor. They are popularly known as shooting stars, and are usually completely incinerated in the atmosphere. In fact, we recently discovered that a meteor spotted in the sky over Kyoto, Japan, in 2017, was the fragment of an asteroid called 2003 YT1, which could threaten Earth in the future, by the way. Also, meteor showers happen periodically in our sky, when comet trails stay in the Sun's orbit and end up entering our atmosphere from time to time. An example is the Orionity, which always appears between the months of October and November and is composed of fragments of Halley's Comet. What is a meteorite? When space objects enter the atmosphere, what we call a meteor, but they don't burn up completely in that entrance, the fragments that end up falling on the Earth's surface are called meteorites. So, whether this is what's left of an asteroid or meteoroid, the name of any rock from space that crashed into our planet and found on the surface is really meteorite. In February of this year, the population of the province of Pinar del Rio, in Cuba, had a terrible scare, after the occurrence of a meteor. Pieces of different sizes hit the ground, and several meteorites were found on the ground. However, no one was hurt, thankfully. Summing up, asteroids and comets can lose some piece, which is adrift in space and is therefore called a meteoroid. If this meteoroid enters the Earth's atmosphere, it should be called a meteor because of the luminous effect of this burning, but if any fragment survives and reaches the surface, that rock is called a meteorite. And, in a very simplistic way, you can say that the difference between an asteroid and a comet is that comets produce a tail of gases as they approach the Sun, whereas asteroids do not have this characteristic. I hope it helps in your understanding. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications, to receive new videos.